Tuesday morning at Ramon and Will continues, and as always, we are fueled by Scooter's Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. In an hour early, the glass is broken this morning since we got Cody Barton coming up at 8:30. We are pleased to be joined once again, previewing Tennessee and Arkansas by Volquest's Austin Price. What's going on, Austin? Good morning.
How are we doing, guys?
We're good. We're ready to watch Tennessee football again. We had withdrawals on Saturday. We've got Ramon watching film of 240-pound running backs again that are going to see the Tennessee defense. Well, what stands out to you, Austin, as you preview this matchup for the first time with us?
Well, I think there's a great unknown going against Bobby Petrino. You can obviously look at what Arkansas has done to this point offensively because Petrino was the one running the show, but defensively they got basically all new staff. So what can they cobble together in 10 days or so? What can they do where the kids don't struggle to communicate anything new? What kind of defense are they calling? I would expect them to throw the whole kitchen sink on both sides of the ball, defensively, offensively, special teams. And why not? What do you have to lose if you're Arkansas? And so, I think there's some unknown there if you're Josh Heupel going against this Arkansas team because defensively, what are they going to do? And then even on offense, do they take more chances, with him in charge than maybe they would have with Sam Pittman?
Austin, defensively for Tennessee, what do you think has been the cause of some of the run defense issues? Linebackers setting the edge, D-line, and backups. What do you think Tennessee is focused on as they prepare for another big back, like we said, in Braylon Russell, who comes to town this weekend?
I do think that the linebackers setting the edge. I think communication has been, something they've got to be better at. I think these are small things that they can tweak, especially over the course of a bye week, to where all of a sudden, and then getting some players back, getting Moy back against Mississippi State, and then getting him into game shape and ready to go as we head into this month of October. I think that's pivotal. Getting David Hobbs back this week helps the cause. I think all those little things can add up to all of a sudden Tennessee's a little bit better on defense than they were a couple of weeks ago, and things look a little different. And if you can play a little better defense and the offense continues to play pretty well, all of a sudden you get a football team that's clicking pretty well.
Austin Price joins us this morning, Volquest on 3. Austin, looking back at the game of whatever that was last year, the Vols sitting at number 4 against Arkansas, who you knew had some talent, man, but watching them defend Taylen Green with his threat of running the football, I think they knocked him out for a little bit, and Malachi Singleton came in and gave him a spark also. I think he ended up scoring a touchdown for Arkansas. This time around, there's no element of surprise. You know that Bobby Petrino, since he's been at Louisville, like to run his guys, like to have the big bruising offense. How important is it to contain what Taylen Green is throwing the football, I think, more than actually running? Because they seem to have done lightly well with that this year as far as running quarterbacks go.
Yeah, I don't know if they faced one quite like Green, though, this year. I know they faced him a year ago, and they ended up knocking him out of that football game. But Green is a long, athletic, just lean on you type of running quarterback. And obviously he can make plays down the field with his arm. So I do think this is a little bit of a different animal compared to what they played to this point. I mean, I know that Gunnar Stockton can make plays with his legs, but he's not a running quarterback. But Taylen Green is, he's pretty freaky in the open field if you're going to try to tackle him because he is so big and so elusive. So I think Tennessee's going to get their real test Saturday. If they go out there and they shut him down, then I think you can really say, they've done a really nice job. I think having that game at home obviously is huge. Much like, playing John Mateer in Oklahoma at home in the month of November, I think is pivotal. Like getting that game at home is big for Tennessee.
Yeah, no doubt. And so here's the thing, I guess you look at it this way too. Against the good competition that Arkansas has faced, that's Notre Dame, that's Memphis, and that's Ole Miss. They've averaged giving up 43 points. Now, of course, they fired the defensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino did. How important is it for Heupel to start fast on this defense, man, to kind of show like you are just who you are this year in 2025 for the Razorbacks?
Yeah, I think that's why you wonder, like, what kind of junk stuff do they throw at him? What kind of stuff do they throw at Tennessee? Because you're right, they've been shredded up pretty good. Change defensive coordinator, change defensive voices, same defensive players, and that's why you wonder, like, what kind of junk do they throw at them? What kind of funky stuff do they toss around at Tennessee's offense to kind of throttle them early to try to get them on a slow start just to give Arkansas a chance? And if Tennessee starts fast in this football game, it's probably not ideal for an Arkansas opportunity to come in and get a win on the road.
Austin, you follow recruiting very well, and a lot of these SEC athletes that may not go to Tennessee probably go to Arkansas, Ole Miss, or Georgia, whoever else. They target the same type of guys. You mentioned the personnel being the same. When you look at Arkansas's roster, do you see a competitive, good roster when you look at the bodies that they got on the field?
I think it's okay. I wouldn't call it great. Tennessee's roster is better. And it's kind of like Mississippi State's roster versus Tennessee's roster. I mean, Tennessee's roster was better, and that proved key. I think it'll prove key in this one as well. And again, this game's at home, so Tennessee's a much more confident football team inside the friendly confines of Neyland than they are going on the road. And so I think that's why you like Tennessee's chances in this game. Besides the fact that Arkansas has not been very good to this point, they're not the same team, when they're away from home.
Austin Price of Volquest on 3, your guest this morning on Ramon and Will. Austin, what is the latest on Jermod McCoy? And it seems like not even really his status for this weekend because he's got to practice in order to play this weekend. Is there any movement towards him getting closer to joining team practice and not just doing individual stuff?
At this point, I think that's what you're waiting on. There's no movement until he just does a team practice. He's not going to play in a football game until he does a team practice. So as long as he's just doing the individual stuff off to the side, then the path to the field is a pretty dark place. The moment he practices with the team, the sunshine comes out, right? So it's kind of like Coach Heupel said a few weeks ago about David Sanders. It's a day-to-day thing. Right now he's not cleared. He could easily be cleared in a hurry and then be ready to go. Same thing here. Like he's not cleared, to go out there and play in a football game right now because he's not went out there with the team in practice. The moment that, that happens, then everything changes. The outlook changes for Jermod McCoy. So I think that's what everybody's looking at here is when does that happen? Does it happen? I think that's going to be up to the medical staff. Will be up to how Jermod feels, and we'll see where things go from there. I know Jermod has told teammates that he was hoping to be back for this game, and had told them for a month he was hoping to be back by Arkansas. That does not look like it's going to happen. So the question is, when does it happen? I don't think it. I mean, if he doesn't play this week, I don't see him playing next week. You're not going to throw him out there against that trio of wide receivers. Hey, first game back, go. So the question is when can he get back, this year?
Austin, what about on the offensive line? Are you confident that David Sanders is the starting right tackle starting this week? And how much has he been able to kind of get back to full practice during Tennessee's bye week?
I think that's where it's trending to. Now, again, does it happen this week? I don't know that. I think that eventually, though, that's where this thing heads. And it may very well happen Saturday. Having 2 weeks to prepare, in practice is obviously something that helps David's cause. But I think a lot of it will depend on, how he performs in practice. And then what's the health of Jesse Perry? What's the health of Sam Pendleton? Both of those players were in boots, a week ago as they tried to get healthy off some ankle deals. So, if they're good to go, then, I think that can shift the offense around a little bit. But if I was a betting man, I would trend David at right tackle, Jesse at right guard, and Sham comes off and Wendell Moy goes to left guard. But again, I think a lot of it depends on how the team feels, how the offensive linemen feel, and how David has performed in practice. If he goes out there and he's not performed well for 2 weeks, and I don't believe that would be the case, but if he did, then obviously I think they would stick with the same 5 they've had.
Getting help on the defensive line, too. David Hobbs' ability to be available. Is he out of the walking boot practicing also? You expect him to be there this weekend?
Yes, he is back. David Hobbs will be back. Now, is he, Moy came back, and he played a lot more than I thought he would. I thought he would be on somewhat of a pitch count.
Right.
In that first game, he was not. Is David Hobbs. That may be more possible just because he's not played in 2 months and just trying to get him back out there. But if you get him for 20 snaps, Ramon, it's a huge deal.
It is.
They rotate so much that it doesn't. Playing 20 snaps is okay, and so can you get him out there for 20 snaps would be big, just to add to the defensive interior. But yeah, he's absolutely back in this football game.
One thing that's super unique, man, is Heupel's ability to get Joey Aguilar to this point. Have you guys asked him about? Not that he's never surprised, right? And I know he hates that type of question. Are you surprised by Joey Aguilar? But the ability to get him caught up in this offense, has it been at least fun for him watching him flourish the way he has? I mean, I'm not sure what his draft status is going to be, but he's showing that he can make NFL-type passes to wide receivers that have a strong opportunity now, especially in Chris Brazzell, of almost been a day one pick at this point. What about that journey for him through Heupel's eyes? Has that been asked to him?
I think he's been excited for Joey. Probably a little bit surprised just because the kid got here in May and had to pick things up and do all those type things. But has done a tremendous job, on and off the field to help this team succeed. And obviously, has been able to go at a pace, has pushed the offense to go at a certain pace where they can have a lot of success. They're playing with some tempo to it. Sometimes they slow it down. Sometimes they go fast, but they have the ability to do either. And they've just got the ability to do so many different things with him at quarterback that they haven't had the last couple of years.
Volquest, Austin Price, our guest. Austin, I'll close with this on Tennessee, kind of big picture, and we always make the joke that we can look ahead, even though the team can't. It feels like Tennessee's probably got to win 2 out of 3, right, against Alabama, Florida, and Oklahoma, and then take care of business in games like this in order to be a playoff team this year. Where is the improvement that has to be made in this Tennessee team? What's got to happen that hasn't happened yet, Austin, for you, in order for Tennessee to handle business in 2 out of those 3 big ones and be a college football playoff team for a second straight year again this year?
They've got to get up the field on 3rd down. They got to get off the field on 4th down when teams like to go for it on 4th down. They've just got to get off the field and not let teams extend drives, which keeps the defense out there gassed late in the football games. I think that's pivotal for Tennessee, is just get off the field when you have a chance. When you've got a team in 3rd and 9, 4th and 6, 3rd and 12, don't give up conversion plays. Don't take poor angles, tackle better. Those type things. If you do those type things and the offense can continue to play well, then this is a team that can be right back in the CFP. But there's a lot of teams that I think will be in that 10-2 range across college football. And so if I'm Tennessee, I'm watching games, I know Tennessee fans hate Alabama, right? But I'm kind of for Alabama Saturday if I'm a Tennessee fan against Missouri, because Missouri's schedule just is not that tough. And if Missouri were to win that game, were you checking off a bunch of losses down the stretch from Missouri? Whereas Alabama, you can look at it and go, okay, they got to play LSU, they got to play Oklahoma, they got to play Tennessee, they got to play Auburn. They've already lost to Florida State. There's multiple opportunities that that opponent can end up with 2 to 3 losses. The same thing. I think the other team I'm watching in all this is South Carolina. South Carolina has a really tough schedule, but they can play spoiler. They're still a good football team.
Right.
Lenore Sellers playing that thing at home. They can still play spoiler, even going on the road to an Ole Miss. So, I think for Tennessee, it's not scoreboard watch. It's take care of business. How you can take care of business. Do little things better on offense that maybe have slowed you down a little bit, do the things we talked about on defensively, and then again, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm looking at it going, okay, how does this team that that could be potentially in the mix, how do they get to multiple losses, to 3 losses? Because if you end up with a bunch of 10-2 teams, then all of a sudden you're going to be looking at resume. Well, I mean, if Tennessee does not win at Alabama, what's going to be their best win? Oklahoma at home? Florida's not going to be. I mean, I know they beat Texas, but I mean, like, their record by the end of the year is probably not going to be real great.
Right.
And so, like, winning down there, which, again, it's something you've not done since 2003, and it doesn't matter if they're 0-11. You take that win in the swamp. I think that's another team that can play spoiler because they have so many games against teams like Texas A&M this weekend. You hate for Florida to get some momentum, but Texas A&M needs Tennessee. So I look at this a number of different ways, but that's kind of how I look at it. Take care of yourself, do the little things on offense and defense we talked about, and then Tennessee also, I think, needs some certain teams to lose in a certain way.
Are you also shocked by Arch Manning?
I mean, I've never really watched Arch play. Tennessee never really recruited Arch outside of kind of some initial, like, hey, would you like to come up? And, it never was interest back. And, like, so, I mean, I'm one that I don't concern myself with players that don't come here. I know that seems weird probably for some, but I just felt like, I mean, like, so I never had really watched him in high school, and he hadn't played. Last year you came in and flashed because he's such a good athlete. He'd flash being able to run the football when Ewers, had to miss this or that. So I won't say surprised or shocked or didn't know what to expect with Archie Manning. Obviously he has talent. He flashes hard, but there's a lot of processing going on that's not processing fast enough. For a kid that, again, had not played until, which goes back to don't throw him away. Look at Daniel Jones or a number of different quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You better let him figure it out, because I mean, you don't want to look back and go, man, we had him. He didn't play that well for us, but now he looks great. Look at Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. And that's NFL players, but I mean, it still applies to the college game. You hope that it starts to click for him and it really starts to perform well if you're Steve Sarkisian. But again, this is a Texas team that does not have a super tough schedule. They've already got 2 losses. They do got a road trip to Georgia coming up, and that means that Georgia's either going to have their second loss at home in less than a month after winning 30-something in a row, or Texas is going to have number 3 loss of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that don't even count like playing Oklahoma this weekend for Texas. So it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of this plays out. But, I mean, Arch is going to be a lightning rod for Texas' success or Texas' lack of success.
Volquest Austin Price joins us every Tuesday, giving you the latest out of Knoxville at Austin Priceless, where you follow him on social media. An hour early with us here on the show today. Thank you, Austin. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Austin Price bringing us the latest in Tennessee's preparation for Arkansas, and it does not sound like Jermon McCoy is going to be back for the next 2 games, which is a big deal for Tennessee's need to win in Tuscaloosa. Because at this point, Ramon, you're going to have to win in either Tuscaloosa or the Swamp.
Absolutely.
To be a college football playoff team, barring a big surprise.
Yeah. But again, if they grow up a little bit more as far as the cornerbacks go, Colton Hood is definitely shown to be that type of guy. And getting a young fella together is always going to be a thing.
Ty Redmond on the other side.
Young Ty.
Somebody's got to cover Ryan Williams next week.
They have to. Might as well put our 17. No, he's 18. Might as well put our young guy on him at this point.
18-year-old.
18-year-old, yeah. No, put our 18-year-old on him at this point. He's grown up. This is a big test for him this week. Bobby Petrino's going to try to go down the field. He absolutely will. That's his game.
Should. No doubt. 615-737-1045. Coming up, if you missed the breakdown early this morning on Monday Night Football last night, we got it for you. There is one element of the Jacksonville Jaguars start to the season that is by far the most impressive thing about how they've started 4-1. And we'll talk about that next.